So I have 3 questions for you guys. I'll give you my answers, and I'd love to hear if you guys have any thoughts about answers of your own in the comments. So today's Torah portion talks about how God commands Abraham to circumcise himself, his family, and when Isaac is born, for generations after, including us, we need to get circumcised. The males get circumcised on the 8th day. So I have 3 questions. Question number 1 is, when God told Abraham this, he laughed. He fell on his face and he laughed. Second of all, he said in his mind, he was laughing, thinking, I'm 100 years old, my wife is 90, and we're going to have children. But in truth, we see a few sentences later, a few psukim later, that he was 99. So why would it say that he was 100? Why would he say that? And number 3 is, why was Yitzchak's name chosen? Hashem said to call him Yitzchak. Avraham's name was so powerful. It started off as Avram. He was the head of a nation, and then it changed to Abraham. He was the head of many nations. Yaakov, it signifies the battle between the Jews and the other nations, back and forth, pulling at each other's heels to try to win dominance. And Yitzchak means to laugh. Why would we choose such a name? So I'm going to tell you what I think. I'd love to hear your comments. First of all, as far as why he would laugh when God was telling him that he's going to have a child at this age, I think that the understanding is that he was laughing in joy. He was so excited that he was going to have a child. It was a joyful laugh. So he was like ecstatic. And the answer to the question, why would he say 100 if he was really 99? I think that's the point. The point is that when God tells you to do something, you have a little bit of time to prepare. Okay, let me get myself together. Let me prepare circumcision. Let me do some research on Google. But he did it immediately when he was still 99. And to answer the question, which connects back to this, why was he called Yitzchak, his son? Because, as Rashi explains, the Yud stands for 10, to remind that Avraham Avinu, had 10 tests. Tzaddik has to do with 90, because Sarah was 90 years old when she gave birth. Ches is 8. The 8th day is when Isaac was circumcised, and that's when we circumcise boys. And Kuf is 100, that he was around 100. He could have been 100 when he did the circumcision. But we see that he was so excited to do God's bidding, just like he was when he ran to do the Akedah, the binding of Isaac. And there was an excitement. This shows the intrinsic value that he instilled into his son, that he was so excited to do God's bidding. He could have done it when he was 100. It still would have been acceptable, but he was known to be somebody that did things immediately. And therefore, he instilled that into his children. He instilled that into Yitzchak. God knew he would, and that's why he told him to use that name. And so this puts a twist on Yitzchak's name, and it shows you the joyful attitude of running to do God's will. He said 100, he did it at a 99. It also shows you the value of doing more than what you claim. Hope you guys are having a good one. I'd love your feedback.